Another week of Behind the Brush as we paint the town and check what's happening in the Southwest Florida art scene. Rick Vasky and Cesar Aguilera. And man, I'll tell you what, we said this last week on the show that time flies, but I can't believe it.
No, it's like Flash.
Literally, Halloween is over.
Yeah, it's
the holidays are upon us, and dark art has come and gone.
Yeah, like a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Lots of great things, though, as we recap a couple things. The kickoff of last weekend was the 75th anniversary of the Fort Myers Art and Beach Association and Gallery. Great time out there. It was right by the pawnbroker, so if you know where that is on McGregor, you can stop by there. They're still celebrating all month long, and if you want to get out and you want to paint around town with some of the members there and meet new people in the art community, great way to do it. They've been building that community for 75 years, and hats off on a great celebration last Saturday. And then we had the rooftop costume party. Congratulations, your costume was the winner of the Halloween costume. That was insane, dude. That how long did it take you to build that costume?
Well, it was trial and error because I never seen something like that online, like a reference point. So it took me like a good 2 months.
It was kind of like the Johnny Depp, what is that show? The
Dave
Pirates
Jones.
of the Caribbean?
Yeah, so it was all based on Dave Jones.
Dave Jones, yeah. Wow, that was sick, man. And then the contacts, though, in the eyes, that kind of freaked me out. Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, it was a whole from head to toe.
Yeah, it was, man. Awesome.
Is that the one with
job.
the tentacles?
Yeah, really an amazing job. And now we're moving in to November and December. I mean, we look all the way forward, and you've got a break coming up at the Sidney Burton Davis as far as shows go. Mm-hmm. But the Festival of Trees, the lighting of the tree, we're going to talk about all that stuff coming up. But to kick off November, this coming Friday down at Art Walk, get on down to the Sidney Burton Davis Art Center. And the irony behind the show that's coming up is actually the name of our show. It is Behind the Brush with Rich Bravo, and this week we're talking to Rich. Thank you so much for coming in, brother.
Thank you for having me. I just want to clarify, it's Beyond the Brush for myself. I know that you guys are Behind the Brush.
Oh, okay, good. All right, I was going to say, I didn't really want to
I don't believe that there's a conflict there. I think that there's a really good marriage between, what you guys do and what I'm doing.
Either way, man.
Exactly. And so the show's called Beyond the Brush, trying to bring some of what I've been able to take around to different states to where I live, right? And so I've had a good relationship with Cesar for years, as far as us being able to speak about art and being colleagues in this business of art. And so when the opportunity opened up, it was just an amazing opportunity for me to show here in this place that I'm from now.
Yeah. Well, let's back up a little bit. Rich Bravo, amazing artist. I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram. You can go to @RichBravoArt on Instagram. You can check that out. And but where did you're from Queens, New York, and this we can go all the way back. We're going to talk about the transitions of art and how it impacts what you're doing. And the roller coaster that art can be over the decades.
Absolutely.
But you started out in Columbia, you moved to Queens, New York, and where did this all get started for you in the art world?
Well, I mean, it's basically like this. I'm in a house. We come from Colombia, so we're immigrants here in the United States. My parents, they're doing the best they can to keep us afloat. And so that really is a tight budget. You got 4 children and you're living in New York and you have to survive. So there's not really an abundance of toys and all kinds of stuff. So it's really boiling down to somebody leaving a house for a bunch of hours saying that they'll be back and don't burn the house down as a latchkey kid. And then throwing like a bunch of pens and some pads on the floor and saying, entertain yourselves.
Yeah.
So me and my brothers, all 3 of us are artists. My brother Alex is a very erotic painter. He paints a lot about eroticism. And he also has written a children's book. I know it's kind of weird, but the two go together. He has done these things. And then my other brother, he's a fantasy art novel artist. And he works in the fashion business for children's clothing. And he has licenses for like Marvel and all kinds of stuff, Hot Wheels, all that. So he designs for that kind of stuff for children's clothes. So we're all artists because of that upbringing of being in that, hey, here's some pens, there's some paper, take care of yourselves, right?
That's phenomenal, man.
Yeah, and then my mom's a designer. She worked for Nicole Miller, which is a big designer in New York for many years. And my dad, before he passed away, God rest his soul, was a printer. And this is back in the day when printers had to mix, inks and stuff. So it wasn't like you just didn't have to have a feeling for color.
Yeah.
So I think that is where us having an ability for art comes from, those two spectrums of her being a designer and him being a printer and having to understand color so well.
Yeah.
He did album covers for Yes and all these Ozzy and all these different album covers. That was the printing company where he worked, was where they developed all those album covers. So,
That'd be cool. Did you get to go in work with Dad and check him out as it's coming off the line?
no, it wasn't a world where you can bring. It wasn't a world where you bring your
kid to
child
school
to.
day, yeah.
All the business owners would be like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? So, because they're working in a printing place, very dangerous. They don't have any excursions in there. So, at the end of the day, though, that being left alone to your own devices, if you have, I guess, creative genes, I don't even know how to put it, but it made us really start to exercise our chops in drawing. It's mostly comic book stuff and things like that. And that's while you're in the house. Mm-hmm. Now you're starting to get a little older and you start going out.
Yeah.
As you're hanging out in the street, you start trying to, and especially in New York, I mean, you start to figure out, hey, am I going to be with the cool guys or am I just going to be over here?
Yeah.
So as you run with the cool guys and you start getting involved in gangs and stuff like that, you could end up derailing, for sure. I'm not even here to promote hanging out in the street or being in gangs.
It's easy to get distracted.
But I just want to show the trailer where the art went. Because once we left the house and we were in the street, then it was really, we could be in these gangs, and we were. Well, I was. My brothers weren't. They determined that they weren't going to be involved in that kind of stuff, but I was. And the thing about being in a gang is you can really get in a lot of trouble, but was weirdly, and if I could have these people in this room right now with us, they would say that they saw promise in me. Mm-hmm. And that for that, they would just let me do a bunch of graffiti for the gang all over the place. They weren't involving me in like some of the worst parts of the situation.
Having you tag.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, come on, I want to get into something. They're like, nah, maybe not this one.
Like, you just be our marketing. You be the marketing team. And,
and you know what? I really am thankful for that years later, because reflecting back, I didn't get in the kind of trouble that could have really got me in a place where art wouldn't have been my outlet. It would have been destroyed, So I got to give them credit. And, it was a learning experience. It was definitely like me getting to a point where I got into a university and I got into the Fashion Institute and I didn't have any money. You got to, and I don't want to jump that far ahead because it wasn't that easy. I was thrown out of school for being graffiti and doing all these bad things because that became bad. Mm-hmm. You're doing graffiti and you think you're chilling.
Yeah.
But then the laws change and it has become about your parents paying for the damages, and all this stuff becomes wild. Going from hanging out in the trains and sleeping under a train chair and getting to the end of the station at the end of the night to get out to go into the yards. That's super dangerous, super whatever. Could have really killed one of us or what have you. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that, looking back, it's like, should it take that to become creative?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't take all that. But what happens is, like, they come out with new alloy for trains and you can't really do graffiti. All the spray paint just ripples off and you're like, what the fuck? So what are we doing? We're getting punished heavily. And they're coming up with ways to stop us.
Yeah, and they're making it a whitewash board.
So, where do you go from there? So when I got kicked out of school, I got sent to live in Long Island, New York, which is a suburb. And it is that. It definitely did change my life to see things differently, to have a second opportunity in life, to not be around 40 students in a room trying to learn something.
Right.
And from that point, art came into my life was because the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And that was like I call it like an early 9/11 only because it was a shocking experience.
It was impactful.
And this was back in the day when they used to sit you in a classroom and cart a TV in on a shelf and turn it on. Everybody experienced this momentous moment, and then boom, it blew up. And I was just really messed up about that. Not even playing, totally blown away that I can witness something like that. And it really did affect me. When I'm from the hood, it may have been something that flew right over somebody's head in a sense. But for me, it really just hit me hard because I'm seeing life differently than I'm suburbs. And I'm like, wow, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
So in New York, they have a morning paper, evening paper. Mm-hmm. So by the evening paper, I had already seen it, and it was the explosion of the space shuttle with the astronauts' faces,
Yeah.
And I sat in a classroom, of an English class, and I drew the whole thing out like. And the English teacher snatches it from me, takes it from me, and says, "This is an art class."
Mm.
And I was like, you know.
Yeah.
So that was on a Friday. Come Monday, all these people are saying to me as I'm coming through the school, "Nice job, great job," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" or whatever. And the trophy case to a high school is like God. You know, if you bump into it, what are you doing, right? It's empty. And my drawing has been copied like 100 times into this trophy case.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so
they felt it.
Excuse me. So they've, you know,
and
I'm looking at it, and I'm just saying, and it was just a tough time because that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time I ever really saw that art could,
the power of the art, yeah,
and make people feel different about something.
Yeah.
And then the English teacher was there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck you, you know, what did you excuse my language, but
no,
what are you doing to me?
Podcast.
What are you doing? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, I was embarrassed and feeling good at the same time.
Right.
And it was the kind of good because of the bad that I've been in.
Yep.
That I was really uncomfortable with.
Yeah, you're right in the middle. You're on the cross. It's good.
You know,
it's
there's
bad.
too many people here, and all these people talking to me.
Why am I on this pedestal?
And I'm on Front Street after coming off all that trouble I've been in.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was right or wrong. I just felt like, hey, I'm just supposed to be here. You know, trying to get through this. I'm not supposed to be on blast. So he takes me across this school to this other school, which was rival school. And I'm like, why are we coming over here? From what I hear, I'm not supposed to be over here. And he's like, that's for that stuff. We're going past that. We're going to the art section. And there's none of that there.
Right.
And I was like, really? And it's like, okay. So he takes me over there and introduces me to these two teachers. And because I know their name, you should know that it was real impact.
Right.
Because you can bring 50 people in here and say, name me a teacher from blah, blah, blah. Yep. Be like, So it was Dr. Lurch and Mr. Rohatch. And these were two gentlemen that I'd have to say, if somebody can show me where they are today, I'd drop down and say thank you, right?
Yep.
And not only because they taught me about art, it wasn't like that.
It was a turning point.
They wanted me to change.
Yeah, it was a turning point.
Because I was going to the class, but nobody was talking to me, nobody was working with me. I was just there sketching and doing whatever. And I had to walk up to them and say, you know, I feel a little weird. I've been here for like 3 weeks and nobody's even shown me anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, you know, you're not showing me anything. You know, you're coming here with your tough look and all this stuff, and it's just totally unapproachable. And that's the way they're going to see you as an artist if you really want to know the truth. And you will have great art, but nobody will approach you.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, is that what I'm doing? I'm not trying to do that. I came from that. I'm trying to leave that.
Right.
And they're like, okay, so then this is the deal. You got to be more approachable. You got to be less, this guy has got this scowl on. That if you're going to put that behind you, put it all the way behind you, which was wild. And he's like, you're in the suburbs. You don't have to be tough. These people aren't tough. These guys are the worst. You drop them off in your neighborhood, they're running back. So don't be that tough. Mm-hmm. Be more open to the idea of where you are. And I think that if I had to tell anybody who's having a tough time and somebody put you in a new environment, remember that it's a new environment and be new yourself.
Yeah, start over.
The only people that get put in new environments are people that need to start over and be new. So I went home and I didn't change who I was, but I did dumb down the whole thug, tough, grimy, whatever. I mean, you might be in a small town in Appalachia and be having to be that tough because of where you are.
Right.
That even has to change. It's not about Brooklyn or Appalachia. It's about where you are and what makes you want to put up a feeling of protecting yourself that might leave you out of opportunity.
Yeah, you had to take the edge off.
Had a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But because I was putting it all into my artwork, the edge is there.
Right.
You're just putting it in a different place, and people get to appreciate it without fear or standoffishness or whatever, even if that's a word. Mm-hmm. But that became what they were able to do for me. Now, my dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was raising 4 kids in Queens. So the dynamic of having somebody give you a push-up or you know, you could be somebody that's not there, man.
No, I get it.
And I thought it was only because of me and where I'm from in Queens. But when I talked to my fellow students in college, man, there were guys who were like, my dad is so stern and he never even cared about art. He called me a fag and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't have nobody calling me that. I'd have kicked their ass.
Right.
But at the end of the day, wow, you're going through that?
Right.
That's a different level of going through something. So you just got to understand the whole world going through something. But who is going to be able to sustain being an artist under all that duress?
Yeah.
Is your only escape.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't
well, you
wanna
had
harm
your brothers going in through it, and your mom being a great example in that too. You know, you had a lot.
Yes.
of
No.
good
What you have is
creative influence all around it.
drive. You're seeing your mother work every day,
Yeah.
flawlessly. You know, you can get hurt in the house, and she'll measure your injury by should I take off from work or not. And you're seeing that, and you have that in you.
Right.
So now, if you don't know that and you don't tap into it, then you think that you're not learning anything from your own mother just because she's not where you want to be or what you're expecting. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of nuggets in there from the people that are around you that you can learn from if you choose to.
So moving forward, you did some set design. You worked in the music industry.
Right. So when I got out of college, I became a designer, which I felt was horrible.
Yeah.
I've never worked at a place and walked out, you know, feeling like I was violated, you know, creatively, emotionally. You know, you feel like you're getting raped, you know.
Yeah.
You could do a design, and if you follow the money, that design makes millions, but you just got paid something. Mm-hmm. And you start finding that you don't have a lot of, you know, the right tools and stuff, but they don't care.
Right.
But they just made $1 million off your design, but all you're asking them for is better markers, and they're
Yeah.
like, "No, work with what you got." So
No,
I was
you
just
were
like,
the Tesla to the Edison.
and
That's
I was
all.
just like, "This is whack. I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels." Some people love it. Some people thrive in fashion, but I was just like, "Nah, I'm too rebellious. This isn't gonna work for me."
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine saw that in me, and they were like, "Hey, you might want to be a freelancer," you know. And I was just like, "What is that?" You know, it's like, "Oh, you know, you just work."
Yeah.
When they call you, you're on call. I was like, "All right, cool. I'm in charge of my own time." He goes, "Yeah, but you could be broke if you don't make the time." And I was like, "Nah, I want to do this." So I ran into a photographer. I had an art show this was way back. So this would be more like, if anybody knows New York, this is the West Side Highway. This is where hookers, pimps, drugs, everything. So this is where the warehouses were very inexpensive to rent. So it was about 8 of us rented this giant space and called it the Soul Collective, right?
Yeah, cool.
Soul Concepts, I should say. And we would rough it. We were just painting all month, and then on Friday we would throw this giant party and sell work or, you know, charge at the door and pay the rent and just try to be artists in New York without getting jobs. Mm-hmm. And it worked, and it was going. So at this show we were having, I met a photographer named Daniel Hastings. God bless him. He told me that he wanted to work with me. And we would talk about it back and forth. And then one day he called me up and told me, "Hey, you got to meet me." He is Hispanic from Panama. And so he wasn't really like, he had a pretty strong accent, things like that. So he was just like, "Hey, I got to meet with these dudes. They're a little bit wild. I just want, if you can come, I want you to help me with this thing." And so I meet him, and we go down, and it's Wu-Tang. It was the very first album cover that I ever worked on. And I was meeting these guys, and they were real rough around the edges. And
Yeah, they were.
super. You wouldn't even understand. It was just insane. Like, you know, I said to the RZA, "What are you going to wear?" And he says, "I'm going to wear this Longhorse sweatshirt that I'm wearing." And it was nice. You know? I was like, "All right, cool." So when we meet them for the shoot, he wasn't lying. But it was everything that he'd gone through the entire month before the shoot. Ketchup, mustard, fucking whatever happened to him was on this sweatshirt. And thought, I said, "Shit, that's hot. This is the grime." And other people were like, "I can't have one." I said, "Nah, this dude is so committed."
Yeah.
He never took the shirt off. He's in it, you know? I found that amazing and worked with those guys, and it was just a real experience. Mm-hmm. So on that, I did the set designing. I did the Wu logo. I did a bunch of stuff that was very, not at the time a big deal, but later on in life, super big.
Yeah.
And then I went on to do, you know, DMX videos and did a bunch of rap stuff, but then I moved on when I started doing Shania Twain, you know, 311.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is happening. Like, I'm getting past just this urban stuff and going into the real world of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started working on films, and I did the Sylvester Stallone's Copland.
I remember that movie.
And I did just a bunch of indies.
Yeah.
But it was still being involved in that world.
It is, yeah.
So
it's a good network.
It is, but you got to be about it, you know, and you got to really be about it. Like, let's say for DMX, I slipped, I fall, and I can't get up. The dream sequence where he's inside this cylinder and arms are coming out from every direction, and he's in there rapping, and it just looks crazy. I mean, to paint the inside of this is just like this. A woman walks up to you and says, a magazine. She has a magazine, it's a big magazine. It's a W magazine. It's huge. And she just rips a corner off a picture and goes, can you duplicate that all over these metal pieces that we're going to rivet onto the sides of this thing? And I'm like,
oh my God.
I got it. And she goes, yeah, well, I want you to do that, and we're shooting it at this place, so here's the address. That's it.
That's all you get.
So I get a beep. This is back in the beeper days, and they're like, it's time to go. So I'm on a date. I'm out. It doesn't even matter what I'm doing. I could be with a grandchild, but I was too young at the time. But in a sense, I just leave.
Right.
So I
Gotta
go,
go.
and it's an abandoned power plant, real desolate, fucking, and everybody's leaving as I'm arriving. Everybody's like, yo, everything's set up for you. And I'm like, it is 9 o'clock at night. I have to paint till the morning or whenever I'm done. And I only have till tomorrow morning.
Oh my God.
And it is summer New York, hot.
In a dead warehouse.
With no AC, no nothing.
Oh.
Every single tool you could ever want, because you're talking about the record business, so everything's there.
Yeah.
So, and I'm have a Walkman, Sony Walkman. How do they say? I'm showing my age, right? So I got the clipped it in, right? I had this belt on, and I took off all my clothes. All I had was the underwear, because it was so hot, and a pair of Timbs. And I'm in underwear and a pair of Timbs, and I'm painting all night long. I have to paint all these metal plates, and I have to paint three walls, because they're shooting from the inside. It's scary, man. It's like Freddy Krueger metal. You're just like,
it's meant to be dark.
Like, and the whole night you're like painting. You're like, and it's really, really uncomfortable. But when you start to see the work developing and you really realize nobody's coming,
right?
And you just look back and you're in your underwear sitting on the top of some cinder blocks. And it's just the most amazing experience in the world. I don't care what anybody says. It's just like, hey, I'm in this.
Yeah.
So by the time
what a good memory
the morning starts coming, you're so in the void that you're not even looking around. And then the director, who I don't know is the director, taps me. I'm drenched in sweat. Drawers are drenched in sweat. I'm just finishing up. And I'm like, and he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know that I didn't know what to expect. Just absolutely phenomenal work. And I'm like, taking the Walkman off, going, what? He goes, incredible work. And I'm like, thanks a lot. And I'm not even knowing who he is, didn't give it, because I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the fanfare, for people like...
He could have been a janitor, and you'd been like, thanks, dude.
I gotta go.
Whatever.
Yeah. And so, but just thank you. But I don't even know, right?
Yeah.
And so then at the end of the day, the fanfare, when people say you're in the music business, you're in the music back business. Because by the time the artists come and all that, you're not even around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole idea of people going, oh, that must be awesome. It is for me, but I don't see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm so exhausted that I don't even see the shoot.
I wasn't there for the
I wait to see
party.
the video and go, oh,
but
wow,
that's cool.
up to
You get to see that on the video for posterity.
No, but believe me,
Mm-hmm.
the most absolutely. We did a Firm Biz video for Nas and all these. There was a Firm Biz was the song, and I built a jewelry store, right? And you got to make a jewelry store, and then they made a fish tank with plastic fish all on the inside that they had to break the fish tank so it looks like it's just spilling out in the middle of a robbery. We built the whole thing. I passed out, going to myself as I go to sleep. This is never gonna work. It looks crazy, right? When you see it on video, you see that the work is there, and the people that are shooting know more than you do.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing. So you go from that to the music business crashing completely. You're watching it. You see Napster pop up. You're thinking, nah, who cares? And then all of a sudden, the record companies all going out of business, and budgets are getting slashed, and people are getting fired, and all your connections are gone.
Yep.
You're calling them up going, hey, man, if you got anything. And you're like, you telling me if I got something?
Right.
So your whole life is crashing down. And you thought you had something. Mm-hmm. And if I may extend beyond just the art, I had a restaurant in Soho with my ex-wife, and I had a clothing company on the 65th floor of the Empire State Building with my partner, Willie Esco, right? And we've signed Nas as our spokesperson. All of this is happening. Life is great, bro. And then 9/11 happens. And the record companies coming down at 9/11 were very, hand in hand. So now you take 9/11 happening and the whole New York is shut down. There's no money to be made. There's nobody to call. There's no work to get. Being an artist is probably like the worst thing you could be. There's no creative work.
Yeah.
And most people would go fill out the civil service exam and go work in the subway or, do something. And I was somehow in a weird place, and I ended up with money, right? Because I don't want to go up to the 65th floor of the Empire State Building anymore to do the clothing company. So I'm out of that.
Yeah.
Share is gone. I got mine, I'm gone. The restaurant, I'm thinking, is a complete loss. And the landlord says, I'll buy the lease off of you. I was like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
And then we made money on that. My ex-wife didn't want to have any children because of 9/11. So I had to leave her because I'm like, I'll be damned if I don't bring another me into the world. So that was done. And, I end up out in Long Island again. And I run into my girlfriend from when I was 16 years old, and we've been together for 20 years, and that has me out in Florida. So that was the transition to Florida, was moving out here with her, with the idea of getting away from what I would say just dystopian freaking New York that just was just completely destroyed. And I didn't have the thoughts or process of how I was going to make something out of a place that didn't have anything to give.
Yeah.
So moving out here, I gave up on art. And I say that to anybody who's ever given up, I say that because I did. I was just like, what am I going to do out here? I didn't never see nobody like this. Like a Caesar person. If I would have even ran into one, I would have said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's somebody out here. So to me, it was just a bunch of people, and they were older, and it was back then. And I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I just was like, what am I going to paint for? Where am I going to show it? Everything's lawn chairs and flamingo painting.
Yep.
So I was just like, it's not for me, so let me give it up. So I'm getting my hair cut by Drew. If you hear this, Drew, God bless you for being the guy you are. He was a barber. And he came over to my house to cut my hair. And we're in the garage. And he's like, what's that over there? I'm like, there's some paintings I did before. I used to be an artist. And he was like, so did you lose an arm?
I love that. Would you lose an arm?
Yes.
What do you mean used to be an artist?
Right. And so I'm like, what do you where am I going to go? Look at this town. And he's like, oh, you don't even know what's going on around here. You never even go down. You work downtown. I used to work downtown right up the block. I was working at Sprint and Embark back when it used to be the telephone company was right there. Across the street from that art bar that used to be there that they got rid of. So I used to be there, but I used to get out of there and just go right over the bridge and go back home. And so he introduced me to GCL, to Marco, and I was like, poetry. What is going on in this town? How come and it only happened once a month? I could see that they don't let things happen around here. That's the way I thought,
Yeah.
And so I would go to the thing, and I was with Drew, and he had seen my work, so he was just like really boisterous about wanting to get me a show. And, this is where you really got to understand that you have to humble yourself. It's not what you do, it's where you are and how you operate within those elements.
Yeah.
And so he was, telling the guy, he needs his own thing, and share the floor with nobody. This guy's good like that. And I was like, no. Give me the opportunity. I don't care if I got to share the floor, please. I just want to be able to have something where I can exercise myself.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. A platform at least.
That's it. Just an avenue, man. And that's why I thought it was amazing. And I didn't want to fight the current. Who am I, right?
Yeah.
So they let me in, and I do a couple of shows, and I find it very cool. And I was able to re-spark that in myself to go home and start painting again and doing my own thing with no shows coming, no nothing. Just paint, man. Because if you're painting to make money, then you're more than likely be very disappointed. Because money doesn't come that fast with art. Not with things that you create. Talk to a rapper, talk to anybody.
Yeah.
It's going to be struggles and struggles and struggles until some money shows up. And if you don't have it for real, then you're just looking for money. You can get a really good job and make some money fast.
Right.
You don't even have to paint. You don't even have to buy supplies. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
So if it's about money, you go do it. But if it's about art, then do that. And for me, it was about that. And once a spark got back in me, I just felt like I had to do what I had to do. And no matter what the outcome was going to be or where I was going to hang it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
And so then I get to meet Caesar. And because of my reluctance of where I was, I used to look at this place still, even though I had that spot, I was still like, man, there's no galleries, there's no real things going on around here. And, you know, Caesar wasn't the guy yet.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, I'm not going to go jumping through hoops in this town for nobody, which is a bad mistake. You should jump through all the hoops you see as an artist. You should never limit what you can do. And so I started to think to myself, let me get out of the town. Let me go do things outside of the town. So I was going to Seattle. I found that artwork can get you places even if you're not selling anything. I had people look at my work and say, "Ooh, can we fly the work down and fly you down?" And then you talk.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to sell this stuff. And they were like, well, I want to be able to show your story. So impressive. I just want to be able to show your work and let you tell your story.
Yeah.
And I started doing that, and it was pretty incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they fly the work down, they fly me down, and then they paid me. It started off at $100 for the talk, and then it turned into $300 an hour. And, you know, you might get 2 hours out of the thing with Q&A and things like that. But that's another thing that most people aren't thinking about is, what is my art that's not selling? Because people, when you're doing art, what's the first thing out of the non-artist's mouth is, did you sell anything?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't sell anything? And it's like, you know, my real love to it is to see people crying in front of some shit I painted, or have somebody be like, hey, man, that is really, wow.
Yeah.
That's the money for me.
The actual impact.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my work nobody buys because most of my work is impactful, and people don't want impactful things in their house over and over again. But if you're only looking at it that way, then you're closing off the avenue of somebody walking up to you and saying, I love that priest painting. I would love something like that, but not of a priest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yep.
Beautiful. And they pay you what the priest painting cost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's their own
But it's
thing.
their thing, right?
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's a vessel that breeds things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I mean, there's certain plants that people see as a plant that does one thing and then it just does a little thing here that, oh shit, you could use this for this, medicinal purposes or whatever, right? So to me, art is like that. You might think you did it for a certain thing, but somebody else is going to see something else in it. It's going to develop in a different direction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was getting the work to places and finding out I can travel with my artwork and not necessarily have to sell. You're still getting all the, oh my God, that painting,
Yeah.
But it's not. And then if certain specific places sell, like if you got a situation like the Sydney Burn that, you know, you get into the business end of things and you can sell something and then they make a profit, you make a profit, and one hand washes the other, then that's special too. So sometimes you'll have somebody say, hey, I know that we just flew you down to show the artwork, but can you know, this guy's interested in this piece, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to kind of keep moving the wheel along, I go to Seattle, just to give you an example of how that works. I go to Seattle and I do an art show for a place that's going to be a WeWorks. But it's not WeWorks, it's just an example of a WeWorks competition of the business. And they bring me there and they put up the work and and I do my thing, just the same way I always do. And somebody buys a piece. And it's a Trayvon Martin piece, but it's not of his, I would never paint the guy and sell his face. That's just so Travis, you know, it's a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
But what I did is do a depiction of what he went through. And the person saw it, loved it, bought it. Pretty good experience, but you know, you're breaking off the gallery and this, that, and the other. And even though it was a WeWorks startup, they still took money from me. And you're still looking at it like the flight paid me to talk. You got to checks and balances here so that you're not feeling egotistical about how you get paid.
And an experience.
It's an entire thing. If you don't see it that way, you lose out on the experience.
Right.
So a year later, that same guy calls me up and says, hey, there's a guy out here in Seattle, a tech guru. I showed him your work and he wants to work with you. And I said, you know, I'm not flying out there. It's COVID, right? And he's like, yeah, no problem. He's willing to work with you from far away. And he's one of my guys that buy from me. Incredible. His name is Ryan Neal. He's a collector out of Seattle, Bellevue, out there in Washington. And that was, you know, not even being at a gallery. You're doing things over the computer, sending photos of your work, your painting, sending pictures of you working so that they see the work happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no squabbling about prices or nothing. It's just very well put together. So you keep surviving as an artist is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's interesting because Cesar and I were just the other night talking about this, that there's so much, and I like it, it's refreshing to hear you talk about this, because for me, there's art, of course. There's the flamingos and the lawn chairs, you know what I mean? And there's people that just need things to put on their wall. Right. And there's abstract, well, that will look good, but don't make it actually impact anything. I just need it as a background piece, right?
Exactly.
But to me, there's a difference when there is an actual impact, when there is a story behind it. Even when you're taking, like you said here, you don't actually paint portrait. You don't take a photograph. I make them, right? Yeah. And for me, it's not like you just said. You painted his experience, right? And I don't think right now, because we're in crazy times. Like the world is changing. Your very first impactful art was how you felt about something that impacted the world when it exploded, right? Yeah. And then another thing that impacted your entire ride on everything was 9/11. Yeah. Then another thing was, I'm not going there, it's COVID. There's always going to be something in our world that needs to be heard, that needs to be felt, that needs to go, that resonates with me. I went through that. I felt that. That's how oh my God. Because there are people that they don't know how to express how they felt about what made them feel that way. And when they see it, they go, that's it. That's how I feel. That's what speaks to me. That's what I wanted to see. That's what I want. Right. And so for me, like again, why is it so, you were in the music industry. Yeah. Why do people love an album? That is.
It's everything about it. It's not just the music. It's what it looks like. It's everything that it all better work. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's all a creative experience. It doesn't end with the guy making the music. Right. It's also what's happening to the cover. Because it's all an experience from the minute I look at it to the minute I listen to it. Yeah. So that's a great example of saying where, all these different creatives come together to bring this one thing to this person, and it all has to work. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where, trying to find avenues is always a difficult thing for people when they've taken losses. If no longer, I used to work for this company and they just closed down. How many times have you heard that? But how many times can somebody bounce back from that to say, okay, am I the company or was I doing something at the company? If I was doing something at the company, can I take that someplace else? Right. And so,
and you were in the music industry. I'm not saying that one-hit wonder songs that are timely today, you're not going to listen to them 30 years from now. I remember that song. But it's the impactful artist that went timeless on creating the vibe of what happened in that time.
Well, take an example of what I told you about my father doing the album cover for Yes.
Correct.
I mean, look at the album covers for Yes.
Timeless.
Even if you never listen to the music, the cover itself is a piece of art. Right. And it's going to make you say...
The covers of, all in that time.
Right. Would be like, hey, it all worked together with psychedelic music, psychedelic covers. People would put them all over their rooms and stuff. That wouldn't be if the creativity ended at the music alone.
So. And the songs became a hit because of the impact that it created and the emotion when it was heard.
Right.
In the same way that the art is seen.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, some of these things are like, you look at the cover and you say, somebody will be like, hey, did you see Beatles' Black albums? Well, what is it? It's the black cover. Yeah. I have to find that. It all works and identifies with each other, But having the music business close and everything fall apart and still being able to survive that is really the testament. Going into places and seeing other artists that you used to, and having them say, I've been looking at you. How can you still be doing so much work? We're having a family and all this stuff. It's like, you have to make time for yourself. Mm-hmm. I was painting the murals and people would come up to me and say, where do you find the time to do this? You work a job? And I'm like, there's a whole day here.
Yeah. Well, I like that your barber told you that, what is your arm broken?
Your arm broken, yeah.
Is your arm broken?
Started again, yeah.
You're not an artist anymore? Did you break your arm?
You have to. Sometimes people will remind you of who you are when you forget, but it's really important to do self-inventory to remind yourself of what your value is. So when you go to value something, you're not shortchanging yourself. But if you don't know what value you have, then you're definitely always going to shortchange yourself. People always ask me, like, well, how can you sell that for that much? Well, it's only because it's sold for something. And you're never going to go backwards, right? Mm-hmm. You're never going to say, hey, I sold for $7,000, so let me do this for $1,000. and the same type of work from one. No, you find it if somebody's on a budget. There's no budget small enough for me. You got $50, I'll give you some $50 of Bravo real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll just take care of you. Mm-hmm. There's some people that are like, they're not paying me enough. Well, then don't do so much. Show them how if you can lessen the amount of work you do, you can still give them something for the amount of money that they're asking for.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, if they say no, then let go of the business.
Yeah.
But find a way to make it right for yourself before you do this overt monster work, get paid so little. Mm-hmm. And when people say, wow, that was amazing, you start thinking about the money and not about the amazing work you did. So,
yeah.
That's all.
So I don't think we're going to be seeing any pictures of the rocket exploding. We're probably not going to see any Wu-Tang, artwork. No. What is the next generation of Rich Bravo that we're going to be seeing down here come November 7th?
So I've got artwork that I've done since I've been down here. Some people may go to Space 39. I'm one of the house artists there and see some of the work that's been hanging in there. But to show my evolution, I have started to take material, which most people would discard, right? So let's say somebody has a Versace scarf that got snagged on a nail, and now they don't even want it anymore. They're about to throw it out. Mm-hmm. I said, let me get that for a second, and I take the scarf, and I wrap it on a canvas, and I paint on the scarf itself. So I'm using material that most people would figure it only lasts as much as I care for it, and then it's gone.
Yeah. And
it's beautiful stuff. I mean, all these prints that have incredible material. And I say, why throw it out? Let me give it new life.
I love it.
Things. So I have some fashion philanthropists, I call them, that have a lot of vintage stuff. Mm-hmm. And I call on them, and they might send me a vintage coat that has a rip on the arm. So I take the whole lining out, and I use the Gucci lining to do the painting on. So always constantly using this stuff that may have been discarded and giving it new life, right?
I love it.
So that's on that. I mixed that with these icon paintings. So the 50th anniversary of hip hop was about 2 years ago. And so with that being said, I was doing these icon paintings, and that's really where the whole thing developed, because I didn't want to just do these portraits of these rappers. I really wanted to do something different. So when adding the material to the artwork really stepped it up, gave it more than just painting them, and it was an experience that most people, when they looked at it, they were like, is that a real sweater? And I was like, yeah. And so now I went into taking it to denim, where I'm taking expensive denim and I'm cutting it up and I'm putting it into this artwork and using it within the artwork, developing a collection called Art is in My Jeans.
I like it.
Right. And so those pieces, and I developed a lot of them within the time that I've gotten the opportunity, so that I can have fresh, new work and things that the gallery can really say, oh, wow, this is for us. He did this for this specific space. And so
I love it.
Yeah. And so with the jeans, it's also the fabric of America. And so, putting it into the artwork, using it in different facets has really been an experience for me. So I really, really love it. I appreciate it, and I hope everybody will too.
Yeah, this coming Friday down at Sidney Byrne Davis Art Center, it all kicks off. That is November 7th, by the way. Yes, we are in November. Crazy. It's Beyond the Brush with Rich Bravo. And this is Behind the Brush, by the way. And
I want to say, though, that is an incredible coincidence.
It is.
Behind the Brush and Beyond
man.
the Brush. And I just feel like that really meant something to me because we just kind of like were talking, and he just telling me, hey, can you be on the podcast? And it's called this. And I was like...
You're like, what?
So I just think that it's all right. Everything
is
working out perfectly, and having this opportunity, and thankful to the Sidney Byrne for the opportunity. It's one of the greatest outlets in this town. A lot of people aren't really taking advantage of that place like they should.
Yeah.
It's a great date to go over there on a date, to show somebody that you have a little bit more than the equity of just working every week, that you have some kind of thoughts and can experience things. So I think people should take advantage of Sidney Byrne more, and don't forget to donate. That's something that I definitely want to emphasize. A lot of folks will say that you can come there and it doesn't cost anything. Yes, it doesn't. But it should, and it should be the donation that supports the situation, because it's all public, and it's all because of the public that the place exists. So let's not forget that night when you come in, it doesn't matter from 50 cents to $10. Just do the right thing by the place, so it'll always be there, so a person like me can always have that opportunity.
Man, I love, so well said. Great point to bring that up. And it's going international for your show as well, because when you go up on the second floor, flying in from Germany, Heidi Schmitz is going to be an amazing show up on the second floor. Abstract art upstairs.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting contrast of the two exhibitions.
Yeah, man, it's going to be great artwork.
That's great. I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, that'll be an experience for me as a guy going to a place and seeing something. And then there's a little bit of an after party on the roof, which I think is a very, very
Yeah, we have our friend
Embrace
Sarah
for you
Hedeka
guys.
playing.
Oh, what a great night it's
Yeah.
going to be.
Mhm.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm just very, very happy that that's there because my birthday's the day before.
Oh, how about
November
this?
6th.
Yeah.
And so it's perfect timing. And so I want to say
Celebrating.
I appreciate you guys for having me on the podcast. You have an amazing home, if I may say.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Man,
It's
I'm
inspirational.
fortunate to do this at
No,
my home.
it's hand in hand. I mean, if I would have walked into like
A normal studio, get comfortable.
or whatever, it would have been everything around me is allowing me to express myself and not feel limited.
I love
honestly,
that.
because your experience when you look at the place where you're actually speaking is giving you volume, so that you feel like you're going into a place and not just arriving somewhere. You're actually here. Yeah, it's amazing.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that,
for
brother.
sure.
Thank
I wanna
you
let you
so
know that.
much, man. Rich Bravo at Rich Bravo Art on Instagram. We're going to link that on Behind the Brush. And don't be mad. Don't be mad at us. But our actual website is beyondthebrush.art.
All right, that's cool too, man.
So
Listen.
you go beyondthebrush.art and you're going to find all about Beyond the Brush.
Listen, if you
with
guys
Rich
weren't
Bravo.
as cool as what I do, I would be like, what? I'm attached to that. No, you guys are just as
It's
most
solid.
incredible, especially my friend Caesar. I want to say thank you, Caesar. You said something to me a long time ago, and this was during one of your affairs at the Sydney Burning. I came over, and I was standing there, and you looked at me and you said, when are you going to start taking this seriously? And I didn't know what you were talking about because I was doing so much. But then it hit me that, I live here. I live here.
Yeah.
And I have to respect what I do here and why I do it here. And that's why I understood finally what he meant. It's take the town more seriously, be about this place, because this is where you're breeding more artists. It's not other places. It's here. So in that sense, when the opportunity came, I said, you know what? I'm going to throw myself at this beyond the brush.
I love it, man.
Nice.
And you
Yeah.
keep reinventing yourself, which is inspiration for everybody. And again, all he did was remind you, what is your arm broken?
Yeah, that was a great, and I invited that gentleman. I hope he can make it. Drew, I hope I see you there, man.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much, Rich Bravo. Get on down and support the arts and come on down and check it out. Beyond the Brush this Friday down at the Sidney Byrne Davis Arts Center, November 7th, and we are going to wrap it up, man. It's been a good week, and looking forward to we got a lot of great guests coming up this month. We're going to be talking to our good friend Marvin. We're going to be talking about the Festival of Lights and Trees, all the holiday stuff that happens all around that.
A lot of stuff happening this season.
And don't forget, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the other 16 platforms that you get your podcast on. Thanks to our good friends at Podcast Playground for always making this happen for us. And get out there, paint the town, and we will see you next time on Behind the Brush.